For over 30 years, Mike Kelly was the voice of the longest-running real estate talk show in the North Bay, The Real Estate Hour. The legacy continues with Allison Norman and her business partner, Stephanie Norman, the newest mother-daughter real estate team, hosting with updates, information, and tips for buying or selling your home. DRE license numbers 017-20334 and 022-09237. Now, here are Allison and Stephanie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday morning. Happy Sunday morning, Joe. How are our warriors?
Thank you.
How are our warriors doing? I've been paying attention.
The Warriors are doing fine.
Okay.
They won a game that really nobody expected them to win last night, so they lead the series 2-1.
Awesome.
One of their main players is hurt. He took a flop that just looked ugly.
Oh, was that the one where he fell right on his... Yeah, it looked so painful.
That looked like it hurt just seeing it. It just, ouch.
Yeah.
But they won last night. They lead the series 2-1, and Game 4 tomorrow, 6:30, KSRO.
Right. Yeah, you'll be here. Joe will be here running making sure that you can hear it across the airwaves. So.
How are
the Giants are in first place.
Oh, I was just going to ask about them.
We need to go to another
So it was
Giants
a good day
game.
of sports yesterday.
Awesome.
Nice,
Good day.
Okay, you can talk about real estate now.
Got the sports out of the way. We got always in honor of Mike Kelly for one, because
he fell right on his back. It looked so painful.
I missed that
And
one.
it was a pretty good fall too.
Yeah.
It was. I'm doing the games here. I didn't see it till I got home, and when I saw it, I just cringed. It was just ugly looking.
Not good.
And
but he's doing okay.
Well, you didn't play yesterday. They're hopeful tomorrow. We'll see.
Good.
And Mike would really be proud of the Giants right now, the way they're playing.
And that's what I was saying. Yeah. So Mike Kelly would we used to have back in the old studio, we had a TV going in the back, and it was
that's when
usually
the
playing
British Open was on, and it'd be on early in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, there was a show going on.
He'd be glancing over at the at the TV anyway. So yes, in honor of Mike, we like to and the kind of real estate hour tradition. Talk a little sports with Joe. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about real estate though on the real estate hour, and
that.
So we've got a couple of things we wanted to talk about. We are going every year the North Bay Association of Realtors. Well, actually, I'm sorry, it's the entire California Association of Realtors that heads up to Sacramento, even Southern California. They make the trek all the way up here to our state capital. And we talk with different officials, Congress members, and talk about topics that are important to homeowners' rights. And so it's not, and it's important. It's a really cool event. So if there's any realtors listening, get yourself, I don't know if it's too late to sign up, but it's this Wednesday up in Sacramento, and we meet in the big, the conference center, and then convention center, and then we get out and we walk, couple blocks over to the state capitol. As a mighty force that we are, the Association of Realtors, really big lobbying force, and talk about things that are important to you, the homeowner, and homeowner rights, and us, we're also a lot of us homeowners. So
it'll be my first time going.
Yeah, it's a really kind of awe-inspiring event, and just to see the realtors. We don't just sell houses and sit back and count our cash, so we, which a lot of people have that vision of that's what realtors do. We work very hard, and we work for you, the homeowner, to protect your homeowner rights. And for, even there's some tenant issues that we often lobby for. So, I think it's cool to see what all that we do, and we're a really mighty force when we all come together, and we do a lot to protect, like I said, homeowner rights, and other things. And we'll talk a little bit later in the show what are some of the things and who we're going to be talking to, and what some of the topics for this year's legislative day.
And then next Sunday we'll share with you how it went.
Tell you how it went. So yeah, it's cool. It's fun. I'm glad Stephanie's coming because I always go and say this is so. It's
I
it's
always
really,
hear about it and see pictures, but I've never been.
It's just impressive that the things that we can get done as a group, and we're doing it towards our profession, towards the industry as a whole, and to help protect homeowners and homeowner rights. So anyway, so we'll be talking about that. Also, I have some interesting information about investing in real estate with your retirement account. And there's a company called Equity Trust, and they had a little like webinar, and then I have a packet of information. I wanted to talk about it because it's something that we talked about, Mike and I talked about years and years ago, about purchasing real estate through your IRA, your self-directed IRA, and there's some very specific things you have to do.
What is IRA stand? Mike would not like that.
And I know, no acronyms. So your IRA is an individual retirement account, and there's you can put it into different types of individual IRAs. You can put them. There's different ways that you can. It's a tax shelter for your money until you retire. But the self-directed IRA, you can pull money out and do investments with as long as the money is coming. Any money that you make on these investments has to go back into the IRA. The self-directed IRA. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting. I wanted to talk about that. And we're not tax professionals. We're not retirement, we're not money management professionals, but I'm going to be going a lot off of their papers, their information, and telling you what they sent to me and the information they sent me that sounded pretty interesting.
Is there a link to it that we
There
can
is.
share?
There will be a link to that that I'll get to Joe, and I'll look it up during the break. And then the other thing is, we were kind of, when we were talking this week about what are we going to talk about on the radio show, what are a lot of questions that we received during the week, throughout the week, and lately what it's been is what's happening with real estate.
Yeah.
What's happening with the tariffs? How is that affecting real estate? How is it affecting the mortgage rates? What's going on with that? So I wanted to talk a little bit about that too, and a lot of it's just speculation, but a lot of it's a question that we're getting. So if people that we run into on the street or wherever we go have that question, chances are people listening to the radio show also have that question. Yeah. So that's so we figured we'd cover that to the best of our knowledge and ability. And then we're also going to talk about the market and what's happening in the market. Big numbers of inventory coming on the market. So important to talk about that. Nothing to panic about, but just important to know that there's a lot of inventory coming on the market. And so, we're going to take a look at that and why and what's going on, and see if we can ease your mind a little bit on people that are kind of wary as they're worn out, which they also are, but wary, a little concerned about if it's a good time to buy, and it really depends. The answer is it depends. And why you should wait, and why you shouldn't wait. So we'll kind of look at those reasons, those things, but tell you what's happening in the Sonoma County real estate market. So that'll take us through our show, and hopefully you'll be interested and stay tuned, right?
Yes. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Joe, should we take a quick break and then we'll dive in? Alrighty, let's take a quick break. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We're the Norman Home Team, and you're listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back.
The Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman. They'll be right back with more. The Real Estate Hour, hosted by Allison and Stephanie Norman. Now, here are Allison and Stephanie.
Good morning.
In stereo. Good morning. We're back. It is the Real Estate Hour, and we're gonna start out today talking about the market and what happened, since we were kind of teasing about that and the things that are going on. Every week in the morning before the show, we pull up the numbers, and every week lately I've been like, oh my gosh, the numbers are just getting bigger and bigger every day, and this doesn't mean that buyers are going, oh, yoo-hoo, we're in a buyer's market, because we're not. It is still a seller's market. There are segments of the market that are kind of leaning towards the buyer's having a little bit of an advantage, and that's just because there's maybe a lot of inventory in that specific part of the market, right? So what we always remind people is that this is a look at the entire Sonoma County market, every nook and cranny. We break it down by single-family homes, condos, mobile homes, multi-units, and then residential buildable land. And that's all countywide. So if you want to look at something in, West Side Petaluma, or you want to see what's happening in Bodega Bay, or you want to see what's happening, narrow it down even further, that, in Bodega Harbor North, which, or Bodega Harbor South. We can break it down that far. Or, right. So I'm just throwing out different, Cloverdale, and different neighborhoods in, like, what's happening in Fountain Grove, what's happening in the new builds, there. We can fine tune it that far. Right.
And the big thing with that is that when you're listening to the news, it's all national. So when they're talking about real estate on the news, it's most likely national. And so you don't want to go base everything off of what the news is saying, because it doesn't. Most likely does not apply to you or your neighborhood. Yeah,
when we look at like the median average, or the median price of real estate for the United States, it's like $300,000. So, and a lot of times when they say, even when they're talking about mortgage rates and the average, monthly mortgage is this, or even rents, they're talking about national numbers. And even when they break it down to California numbers, that includes the very expensive, Silicon Valley, Marin County, San Jose, Los Angeles, San Diego, all of that. But it also includes like the Interior Valley, where you've got the really low priced homes, and then the Fresno and the anyway, Madera, all
could go
of those,
on and on.
Or the far north corners of California. So even if you're listening to California news, you're not getting the true numbers. So this is it. So this is Sonoma County, but again, it's not the true numbers if you're looking specifically in a certain area. So when we say, oh my gosh, there's so much inventory, and oh my gosh, there's not enough selling in this area, don't automatically assume as a buyer you can go in there and just offer nothing, and throw a lowball offer because Allison and Stephanie said on the radio that there's too much inventory. There's not too much inventory. It's good to see the inventory. In fact, looking at the numbers of single-family homes today, active single-family homes is 941 active homes. It was only 875 last week. It's been slow, which is, it's about a 10% change week over week. It was 875. It was, if you look back, beginning of the year, it was like 600. There was, when was this? There was 393 active. Anyway, last May, 778. I just happened to pull it up to May numbers. Anyway, I keep everything in this little handy dandy notepad. But anyway, so when you hear that big number, that's a big number. It's up 10%. The in escrow part of that. So we look at what's active on the market and then what's sitting in escrow, not what went into escrow, but what's in escrow. That number has stayed pretty consistently. It's like a third of a percentage higher than last week, whereas the active is 10% higher. So what we like to see is that in escrow number keep up with the active number, and it isn't at this point. That means that there's plenty of room for buyers to get in there and make an offer. We've got a lot of inventory for them, but that's overall. Again, that doesn't mean that perfect house that you're looking for in Northwest Santa Rosa is, single level on a 10,000 square foot lot. It doesn't mean there's a whole bunch of those. It might be the only one, and then you're not going in there with a lowball offer because look at all this inventory on the market, So it's important we look at these numbers, just kind of keep an eye on the market as a whole, right? So anyway, having said that, we haven't seen numbers this high active since the summer of 2020. Wow. But it's spring. It's normal for the spring market, and really, 2019, we were kind of seeing a little bit of a slowdown in the market.
And that's why we were telling y'all to don't wait till spring, but that's okay.
And here, as a seller, just know, but look around and or talk to your realtor, talk to us. If you don't have a realtor yet, we're happy to represent you. But see what's happening in your neighborhood, and it does, and then price accordingly to that.
If you're interested in what's going on in your neighborhood, again, we can help you find that out. We do no obligation, free
market analysis.
Yes, thank you. Market analysis.
And help you figure out pricing and value of your home. Yeah.
I mean, we obviously would love to work with you, but we're also more than happy just to help you get an idea of where to start.
Yeah. If you're not already working with a realtor.
Yes, as long as you're not already.
If you have a realtor you're working with, they're the person. If you're contracted with them and you call us and say, hey, I've got my house in the market and this is happening, I'm sorry, but we can't help you because you are contracted with another realtor, and we'd love to help you if we could. But, we can't. So we do once in a while get those calls to say, I'm sorry, you got to refer back to your realtor. But anyway, if you haven't connected with a realtor yet, we can answer all those questions for you. Happy to help.
Yes.
And even if you're not ready to do anything, we're happy to help. So anyway, back to the numbers. So 941 active listings right now, single family home, all of Sonoma County. The median price is $1,150,000 on those, the median list price. 291 in escrow, and that median price is $865, and the median kind of follows the market up and down based on how much inventory is in which price point, and so when it goes up, it means there's more higher priced homes, and when it goes down, it means there's more lower priced homes. It doesn't necessarily mean that the value of your home is following that up and down. It a little bit does, but it's more based on what we're seeing coming on the market and what we're seeing selling. Anyway, so condos, 135 active condos with 45 in escrow. That number is up that number is up 10%. The single family homes is up 8%, week over week. And then, so again, that's a big number for condos. However, if it's the only condo in that complex, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't go in and say, well, but the inventory is at a 5-year high. That doesn't matter if nothing has come on the market and nothing is available, and you want that specific area, and so does everybody else. Excuse me. Another interesting thing on the condos, it's 135 active condos, which is up 10% from last week. However, there are 45 in escrow, which is literally the same number as we had last week. So anyway. So that's again, what we look at is if the inventory goes up, the buyers should also go up. And if they don't, then we're starting to see more of a separation in what's active and what's going into escrow. That's where you get the fluctuation between buyer and seller advantage there. But we're not there yet. It's still a seller's advantage market. It depends, though, right? In certain areas of the market. Mobile homes, we're sitting at 87 active mobile homes on the market. That's actually down a few from last week. We've got 35 in escrow. Multi-units, which are 2 to 4 units, whether they're separate units or a multi-unit, like a duplex, triplex, fourplex. We have 62 active on the market right now, with 21 in escrow. That one is up about 7% from last week. And land, we have 276 active land listings, up a little bit from last week, about 2%. And then 29 in escrow, and is that right, 29 or 79? Yeah, 29 in escrow.
Can't read your own writing.
I know, could that say 79? But that would be too big of a number. There's 29 in escrow. That's really normal for there to be that small of amount of land in escrow, because it's just a lot. It takes a lot longer. There's a lot fewer buyers, a smaller buyer pool, and it's just a longer process, too. Sometimes they go into escrow and they sit there for 6 months because you're doing much more investigation than you would if you're just buying a house. So I'm not too concerned about those numbers at all with the land. It kind of is what it is. But anyway, that's what's happening with the land, right? I mean, with real estate all over Sonoma County right now. And you have a look. Stephanie has a look at what's happening, or what happened.
The market snapshot from last Sunday to today.
Okay, so what happened in a week?
In a week. So for new listings, we have 214 with a median list price of $950,000. Back on market, we have 18. Price reduction 79. In escrow 81. Pending 55. Closed 80 with a median sold price of $895,000 with 56 days on the market. And congratulations to everyone who either bought or sold a home. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Congratulations! And yes, it's always and sometimes it's a buying and selling at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the one where we're all so relieved and everything's done.
Yeah.
How much bigger is that number than last week? What was it? 190. The new listings. That's up also, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Last week it was 160.
Yeah. So now
it's 214.
Yeah. So and it's spring, so
yes,
it's normal to see this happening.
And another thing, we post these numbers on our real estate page. The Real Estate Hour our Facebook page, the Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman. We post everything from today, everything we talk about. We'll have the numbers, we'll have any links to anything we talked about. We'll also have the podcast. Joe is really good at putting that on the KSRO website. And
yes.
We have our podcast there, and we'll share all of that on our Facebook page.
All the stuff, yeah. So you didn't need to write all that down.
Staying tuned and following us.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, so that's a good look at what happened in real estate this last week and what's happening right now.
And another thing I wanted to put out there that I'm sure it's a question everyone has that is listening. What makes it a buyer or seller's market?
So it's looking at how much it's the absorption rate, and we'll get into that. I next week I can kind of go. Actually, next week I think we'll be looking at the April numbers.
Oh yes.
So we can look at, because the absorption rate, you're looking at and supply of inventory basically. So if it's at about 5 or 6 months, then it's a buyer's market. We're nowhere near that. But it depends. It may be in a segment of the market where maybe it is at 5 months supply. A lot of times the higher end, the real high end market, things will be on the market for a much longer amount of time. And then it's what's in escrow, what's active, what's sold, and there's a calculation, and we'll get into that next week. But but once it hits over that kind of 5 month, then it's more of a buyer's market. We haven't seen a buyer's market in over 10 years. Not since the short sale and foreclosure, all of that happened. However, there are little segments of the market where maybe there is some buyer advantage, and I'd say probably in that condo market right now. We're seeing that it's that there's a I don't know. I'll have to look at it. I haven't done the calculation, but I think, depending on what complex you're in and what you're looking at, that might be a place where you've got a little bit of an advantage as a buyer. Anyway, let's take a quick break for the news. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the self-directed IRA and how you can actually use it to purchase real estate as an investment. So we'll talk about that when we get back. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We are the Norman Home Team, and you're listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back.
If I listen to your life.
Now, back to the Real Estate Hour, hosted by Allison and Stephanie Norman. Now, here are Allison and Stephanie.
Good morning. We're
Good
back.
morning. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. And happy last week of April. Good
I was
grief.
just going to ask that. Yeah. Then
How
we're
did
on
that
today,
happen?
my birthday month. Woohoo.
Yay. And the rain.
You can tell she's young. She's still celebrating birthday
Woo-hoo.
months.
I don't know. Oh, I still celebrate
Birthdays are important, no matter how old you are.
Yes.
I think
It's
all birthdays should be celebrated.
Made it through another year.
It's a big deal. You're getting another year of life.
Yes.
It's important.
Especially when you've been through.
Yeah, when you've been through
life-threatening
the
things.
things I've been through, you're excited about any birthday.
Oh, you stand corrected.
Sorry,
No
Joe.
worries.
You should be excited about any of your birthdays.
I think
all the birthdays.
Well, I just turned 69 last Wednesday.
Oh, well.
Oh, what?
How did we miss your birthday?
Happy birthday.
I know.
Come on,
How did
Joe.
we miss it?
But that's okay. But,
Happy birthday,
I had
Joe.
to work all day. There was a Warriors game and regular job, so it was normal life.
I don't even think I got a Facebook
when you
reminder.
see the scoreboard change,
Yeah.
something about when the scoreboard changes,
It reminds you of your birthday.
Ding, ding.
Oh, but it's
Happy
celebrate.
birthday.
Celebrate being here.
Did you celebrate it at all?
Well,
Are you going to?
Well, I think we plan on going out to dinner, but we're just not sure when.
Oh.
Like I
It's
said,
hard
on
getting
Wednesday,
everyone together, right?
I had the regular,
Yeah.
my regular job, and the Warriors played Wednesday night. In fact, I joked it was a triple crown for me. The Warriors played on Christmas, the Warriors played on Easter, and the Warriors played on my birthday.
Goodness.
So that's my life. Welcome to it.
Well, the Warrior fans all appreciate you being here.
All right,
Well, I hope you get to celebrate your birthday. It's a big deal.
Happy birthday to you. We'll bring you a cupcake and a candle next week. Anyway, okay, let's moving on. Oh, there goes my voice. Okay, so kind of an interesting thing that you can do. I know a lot of people have money that they put into an IRA, an individual retirement account. IRA, however you want to say it. A lot of companies will match the money, and they have that whole setup for doing that. There's different types of IRAs you can pick, and you got to talk to your company for one if they're also matching IRA funds or IRA designated or deposited funds. But there's one IRA that you can use that if it's a self-directed IRA, you can really kind of you direct where you want the investments to be made. So you're doing it yourself using that money that's sitting in the tax shelter of an IRA. This is information from Equity Trust. It is we're not endorsing them. We're not saying, hey, these people are great, you should go work with them, because I honestly have no idea. But the information that they gave me and provided us it's really good, easy to follow information. So I wanted to talk about it. Reach out to them, or if you have somebody else that you work with that handles your investments, reach out to them. Say, hey, I heard this a little bit of information about being able to invest in real estate using my self-directed IRA. Is this a good idea for my specific situation?
And we'll share this on our Facebook page as
well.
we'll share the link. And on the podcast on tariffs.com.
Anyway, so, right, exactly. So you don't have to try and figure out where to find it. But basically, what does it mean because this isn't, so like I said, we're not financial planners. We're not tax people. We're not advising you to do this. We're saying here's an interesting concept and idea. You may want to look into it. Okay, so don't hold us accountable to telling you to invest in something and then having it fall apart on you. But anyway, and you decide how, as with any IRA or any investments, you kind of decide how aggressive you want to be or how safe you want to keep your funds, especially right now with everything. A lot of people lost in their 401k, which is an IRA. Lost a lot of money with the stock market and what happened when Trump announced all the tariffs and all that stuff. So anyway, but this may be something if you are looking for something to do with your retirement funds. And so basically it says, what does it mean to self-direct my real estate investments? So many investors are surprised to learn that it is possible to invest in real estate using their retirement accounts. And self-directed IRAs and other self-directed retirement accounts can hold a variety of assets, including real estate, tax liens, promissory notes, private entities, and more. And then many investors open self-directed accounts to diversify their portfolios with alternative investments within a tax-advantaged environment. And so this is something that since 1974, when IRAs were introduced, the IRS has only listed a handful of items that are not permitted in an IRA, and you can find the list at publication 590 at irs.gov, or talk to your financial advisor. But the difference is there's the traditional IRA, which is funded with pre-tax dollars. If qualified investors receive a tax deduction for the amount contributed in a given year, tax-deferred investment growth while inside the account, and then taxable distributions when withdrawn from the account, subject to required minimum distribution requirements when you turn 72. There's a Roth IRA, which is funded with after-tax dollars, so there's no tax deduction. Tax-free investment growth while inside the account, tax-free qualified distributions when withdrawn from the account and subject to income eligibility requirements, not subject to required minimum distribution requirements. Those are the differences. But within that, I believe it's within the traditional IRA, you can get a self-directed IRA. Because basically they're taking it in a traditional IRA, they're taking your funds and they're putting them into different stocks and different retirement accounts based on how aggressive you said you want to be with your money. And so they're doing it for you. With a self-directed, you're saying, I would like to do this, I'd like to do that, I'd like to do this. I want to buy some real estate, I want to buy some gold, I want to buy some cryptocurrency, I want to buy all these things. And you can do that. So you're in charge. So if you're somebody that wants to be in charge of what you're doing, the important thing to know about that is so you can buy a house with, you can buy a home, you can buy real estate with that, with the self-directed IRA. So your funds that are in your IRA account, you can say, I'd like to buy some real estate. And so you're buying real estate in the name of your retirement account, your self-directed IRA, not in your name. So it's similar when you're buying in a trust, so
that's what I was going to say.
And then and then when you sell the house, so say you bought it as an investment, you want to fix it up, maybe you're going to do a flip, you want to buy the property, put some money into it, and I believe there are some rules, and I don't know if this is in here, but I remember hearing something about there being rules about any money that you put into it has to also come from your IRA. It can't be you can't from the outside say, hey, I'm going to also take some money out of this other account and fix this house up. But then when you go to sell it, you're selling it in the name of the IRA again, so the funds have to go back into the IRA. So it has to stay within that entity. If you're buying a rental and it's going to be rental income, you're buying it in the name of the self-directed IRA, and then any income that comes in has to go back into that IRA. From what I understand, again, this is not us being financial planners and experts in IRAs and what to do with them, but I'm telling you this really kind of based on information that I received that I thought was interesting to pass on, and I think it's a great way. There is also other ways that you can just pull.
Don't hold us to it.
Yeah, this is us saying this sounds really cool. You should go talk to your person that does that's managing your IRA and say how would a self-directed IRA make sense for me. Yeah. There's also you can also pull money out of a 401k to use as a down payment on a house, and that's a whole different thing. That you're just borrowing money from your IRA account or your 401k account. And a lot of people actually do that, or they're using them for reserves. When your lender says, well, you need to have some reserves, they'll say, well, I have this in my IRA or in my 401k. And so there's different ways to do it. This is just one of them. And the important thing to know about it is it has to be purchased by the self-directed IRA, not by you. Any money that goes into it has to come, from the IRA. The self-directed IRA, and then any money that's made has to go back into it. So that's important to know all those things. And then beyond that, your tax person can help you understand and figure that out, and your financial planner and the person managing your 401k. They can tell you what you can do and how you can do it. So. I think it's a really cool idea. It's something that we talked about a long time ago with when Mike was here, and I can't remember. We had somebody that came in or called in and talked about it, and then this came out, across my desk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had forgotten about that, and so I wanted to kind of share everybody's information about it. So there you go. That's what you've got. So basically, I'm looking to see if there's anything that says investments must be at arm's length. So the IRS rules state that you and the investment must be at arm's length. In other words, you cannot directly benefit from an asset owned by your retirement account. So that's what I was mentioning, is that you can't. Your retirement account can benefit because it's essentially a separate entity that's owned by you. Yeah. But so it's really important to not mix and mingle those funds. And it says here, whenever making an investment decision, please consult with tax, legal, and accounting professionals. And we will echo that by saying yes. We aren't professionals, but we're passing this as a
we're
courtesy.
professionals as in real estate.
We're real estate professionals.
Realtors.
We can absolutely help you figure out how to, we can actually happy to talk to the person that manages your self-directed IRA if you have one, and talk about that. And we actually would need to have proof of funds showing that you have that you're buying that. Because when you put an offer in on a house, you have to have proof of funds or a lender, a pre-approval from a lender. So we would have to also talk to that, say, here's your IRA, here, it's okay. This is what we're doing. Chances are there's a lot of realtors out there that aren't going to know about this. And honestly, I had forgotten about it. And if it had an offer came in and said they're using their self-directed IRA, I would have said, oh yeah, I forgot you can do that, So if you're planning on doing that, just know that there may be a little bit of a learning curve of people just understanding how you're doing that and what you're doing. But it's just as smooth as getting cash, as long as you know how long it's going to take to get those funds and not wait till the last minute. But just some frequently asked questions. Looking at the clock. Okay, quickly. Frequently asked questions they have here. It says, I plan to purchase real estate properties with my IRA. Does the rental income have to go back into the IRA? Yes, it does. When I sell a property owned by my IRA, may I keep a portion of the proceeds and send the remaining portion to equity trust or whoever holds your IRA? The answer is no. Can I use the funds from my IRA to renovate property to sell at a higher price? Yes. Oh, it says yes, you can. However, your IRA must pay all expenses associated with a property that it owns, including renovations. Further, all proceeds from the sale of the renovated property must be deposited into your IRA. I think that's what I said at the beginning.
I think so, yeah.
Can my IRA invest in a newly formed entity that will invest in real estate? Yes, it can. So into a REIT or into a land trust, C Corp. Those are all allowed. Again, talk to your financial planner or the person managing your IRA. How do I pay funds to the seller? You must instruct your custodian, which is who manages your IRA, where to send the funds from your account. Some custodians give you the option to do this online, or you can submit a form with the instructions. Typically, funding the purchased real estate is sent to a title company, attorney, or escrow. So just like paying with a loan or cash or anything like that. And can my IRA purchase real estate I currently own? No, this is considered a prohibited transaction. You may not purchase a property or interest in a property that's currently owned by a disqualified person, which includes yourself, because you have to keep that arm's length transaction. And am I restricted to only purchasing residential property with my IRA? You are not limited to residential real estate. Your IRA can hold various investments, properties such as commercial buildings, vacant land, condominiums, mobile homes, apartment buildings, in addition to residential property. And then it could also, I won't get, further into it, but it can also, like I said, it can hold, you can purchase cryptocurrency with it. You can get private equity, mutual funds, real estate, precious metals, and promissory notes, so gold and all of that. You can, finance somebody's mortgage. All these different things.
But again, check with your financial planner, not us.
Check with them and say, hey, can I do this? But it's just something to think about.
Yeah.
If you have an IRA, thinking about putting money into an IRA, consider a self-directed or consider purchasing real estate as part of it. And I always think, I think a well-rounded portfolio should include real estate, because you don't want to put, like the saying goes, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify so that you have some real estate. You maybe have some gold, maybe you have some cryptocurrency, and then you have some stocks, some mutual funds, all of those, so that if something happens in one segment, like what happened when the market did what it did last month, or this month at the time. It's happened so fast. And people lost a lot of money in their 401k. Hang on, and hopefully it'll come back up. But, if you diversify, then, and one segment drops, at least you've got other things.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's my non-professional advice. because we're professionals in real estate. But you know, just keep that in mind. Talk to your person that manages your 401k and see if this is something that might work for you. I thought it was interesting. Thought you might think so too. So I think we need to take a quick break.
Yes, I was just going to mention again that we will share this information on our Facebook page and our podcast.
Yeah.
KSRO.com or our Facebook page, The Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman.
Perfect. And again, so what I'm going to share is a link to, or we're going to share is a link to Equity Trust, which is one company that manages the IRAs. There's plenty of there's local ones. This is just some good information they sent to me, so I'm sharing it with you. I'm not advocating them or because honestly I've never worked with them. But the information they share, when you can find some good, clear information, I think it's good to take a look at it and then turn to who you know and trust and talk to them about it too. Okay, we're taking a break. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We are the Norman Home Team, and you're listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back.
Now, here are Allison and Stephanie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are back.
We're back.
Happy Sunday morning. I was gonna talk about Legislative Day. I mentioned at the beginning. You know, it's a really great opportunity for the realtors in the room, and a lot of times the lenders and affiliates, other affiliates come as well. But we meet with, this is a California Association of Realtors Legislative Day, or we call it Ledge Day, but when you put it in writing, it looks like Leg Day because of the way legislative is spelled. So,
yes.
Ledge Day, LEG. But anyway, we show up in Sacramento. We at the big convention center. We're going to be there on Wednesday. Agents, realtors from across the country come up, even from Southern California, to the state capitol. We talk about things that are important to not just the real estate industry, and more often than not, it's not even about the real estate industry. It's about things that are affecting homeowners' rights. And so, you know, the National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors, and our local North Bay Association of Realtors really do put a lot of effort into the government affairs part of real estate. We are a big kind of a mighty force when it comes to that. And we meet there, and then we walk over to the state capitol, and we have scheduled meetings. So we're not like storming the capitol and being disruptive. We have scheduled meetings with different members of Congress for the state Congress, and we're going to be meeting with Senator Mike McGuire, with Assembly Member Damon Connolly, with Assembly Member Cecilia Aguirre-Curry. Then we're going to be hearing from Assembly Member Chris Rogers. We have a lunch meeting where we are going to get an update from him. So from Assembly Member Chris Rogers. So it's just a really it's a really interesting day, and we learn a lot about. I've learned over the years going kind of how much the realtor community does to protect you and your homeowner rights. So I was looking for. I'm not seeing an agenda yet. I thought I had printed it out, but there are what our hot topics are going to be. But we'll tell you. We'll fill you in on next Sunday what we talked about, how it went. So basically,
I just checked the weather for Wednesday in Sacramento. It's going to be in the 80s.
Oh, yay.
So that'll be fun.
At least it won't be in the 100s.
At least it won't be raining.
Exactly. Yeah, since we're walking to the Capitol. They used to do a big picture with, they'd get out on the lawn in front of the Capitol, and a guy up on a big, the big boom truck or whatever, the thing that takes them way up in the air and then take it overhead. I don't know if they still do that. It was quite a production to get these 1,000 realtors. I don't even know how many show up, but it's big. It's a big event. We're excited to go, and we'll fill you in all about what we learn.
Yeah.
Next week. So anyway, we're there on the ground, feet on the ground, working for you, the homeowners, protecting homeowner rights. And if you're a buyer, you'll appreciate it when you become a homeowner. And even, tenants, sometimes there's issues that affect tenants. And then realtors, sometimes there's stuff like that too, that kind of looking out for our rights as well. Anyway, so we were going to talk about tariffs. We said one of the things that comes up a lot when questions as people say, so what in the world is happening in the real estate market? Well, how are these tariffs going to affect, and what are the rates going to go up? Are they going to go down? And we go on, I don't know.
Stick around and find out.
I don't know. Let me get my crystal ball out, or the magic 8 ball, So, but honestly, nobody really knows. There's always, in fact, at Ledge Day, we usually get a little bit of an update on, I was going to say prognosis, but a prediction of what's coming. So we'll probably have a little more information on what economists are saying on next week's show. But basically, current rates are more than double their all-time low, which was 2.65, which happened in January 2021. But if we take a step back and look at the history of mortgage rates, they're still close to the historic average. The historic average is 7.73%, which is, I think, about where we're sitting right in the somewhere in the sevens right now. And again, and we mention it every time we talk about mortgage rates. It depends on your specific situation. Yeah. You're not it's not a cookie cutter thing. Not everybody, and it's not even like from lender to lender to lender. It's from person to person to person. Mm-hmm. Some lenders and mortgage companies will have incentives, and they'll have things that they'll offer you to get a lower rate, but typically the lower rate is going to be based on your good credit, your other things, your risk. There's a whole risk factored scale that they look at. Mm-hmm. But anyway, important to know, as a whole, since 1971, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage average is 7.73. So while it feels really high after 2.65 at the low, it's really not as high as it has been. I mean, when I bought my house, it was up in the 12-13%.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, it's like my car loan. I have it at 4.4%. That was a few years ago.
Yeah, and you can't refinance or buy something else because you'd be in a much higher interest rate. Okay, I'll just sit here with this one. And that's, in fact, an interesting point, because that's what a lot of people are doing with their homes. That's why, and so... And that's why it's actually good to see this inventory coming up, because we've actually seen been really stagnant because people are afraid to get that house, to get rid of that low interest rate into something higher. But sometimes something's got to give. You can't wait and wait and wait. I mean, you can, but if you really need to move, you need to move. People die, people get married, kids all move out, and you're sitting in this huge house that you don't need. Or you need to move
gets
closer.
Too big to take care of, and you're getting
so you got to move. So you need to look at you need to weigh your options, basically. Yes. So anyway, tariffs can affect. They can, and here's what matters. Why it matters for mortgages. The connection between tariffs and mortgages may not seem obvious at first. However, tariffs often lead to higher consumer prices, which contributes to inflation. So here's how the chain reaction works. Tariffs raise the cost of imported goods. Businesses pass those higher costs on to the consumers. Inflation rises, making everything from groceries to housing more expensive. The Federal Reserve may raise interest rates to combat inflation. Higher interest rates lead to higher mortgage rates, increasing monthly payments and reducing affordability. So, according to home builders, most recent tariffs could increase the cost of building a new home by over $9,000. That cost would likely be passed directly to buyers. So what does it mean to mortgage rates? It means it's a bit of a balancing act. In the short term, mortgage rates may dip, and we actually saw them dip, and then we saw them go right back up. So we're really not sure, but economic uncertainty often rises immediately after major policy announcements. Investors typically respond by putting money into safer assets like U.S. Treasury bonds and pushing the Treasury yields down. Since mortgage rates are closely tied to those yields, mortgage rates can fall, at least temporarily, but in the long term, expect them to rise back up. So take advantage of the rates right now, but we're out of time. We're getting the hook. We're getting the music hook. Okay, that's all I've got. We may be able to cover that next week a little bit too, but we're off for today.
Yeah,
I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman. Don't forget to check out the Real Estate Hour. It's Allison and Stephanie Norman on Facebook.
Have a great day. You're listening to the Real Estate Hour. Bye-bye.
Bye.